Hello, good morning. Kusile sanibonani ninjani. It is a very beautiful Monday morning, a brand new week, and a brand new Kusile Breakfast Show episode. And we hopefully going to give you the best that you can expect from the show. No more kuze kuphelele iviki. My name is Fiso Ngumalo. Ngihambe ngedwa ngihamba na Lungelele Makakula. Thomben Kusile kunjani?
Yeah, ngiyaphila Mnguni. How are you this morning?
Vuka kahle kakhulu ngeva wena.
It's a brand new week. Sithemba ukuthi nabo babukele bavuka kahle. And thank you for joining us today. Lo mhlahlelo nisethemba ukuthi nibe nempela somvo lenhle nalapho sisekile sesicala ke liviki lelintsha. It is the 12th of June 2023. You can also watch us on YouTube. Mangaba ngakhona kusibukela ku TV yakho ngene nje lapha ekhasini le Eswatini TV. Good morning and welcome to the show. Yeah, all right, on the show today, Sita Mesikhulumisana na Director Commercial Lusoko Kona Garana Mr. Xavier Masule to give us a summary of all the destinations or routes that they have launched since March 26th. The first flight was on the 26th of March 2023 and it launched from the HMK International Airport yafika Kona at Johannesburg or Tambo. The second flight was from HMK International Airport to Harare on the 14th of April 2023 and Durban was added to the schedule in the third phase. Leyasuka ke indiza HMK International Airport mhla 5 May yayofika khona eThekwini. Kanti ke the last and fourth destination was launched nakhona isuka HMK International Airport yayofika khona eCape Town mhla 2 June. So sidabe sikhomisana naye nje Mr. Xavier kuva kabandi nje on all the summaries launched ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe the objectives nabasukumisa nje le airline lena bekuyini, are they able to meet them? So stay with us namhla ekseni at 6:30.
Yeah, and sibuya kumpela sonto lenkulu Lungelele. A lot of people buying nje kule weekend outside of the World Cup. Imehlo labo bhekabheke yona UEFA Champions League final lapho khona iManchester City ibonakele ke ingeta ligama layo to the Roll of Honor of English clubs la claim yona iglory in the Champions League era following a 1-0 victory over Inter Milan on the 10th of June ngemgcibelo. Manchester City have become the only the second English club to claim the treble after the season's FA Cup and Premier League triumph. Asibonile ngemgcibelo, it was a nervous night between the two clubs, Manchester City and Inter Milan, and despite losing their Belgian playmaker Kevin De Bruyne in the 35th minute to injury, Manchester City khonile ukuthi ichubeke inqobe Inter Milan ngeligoli linye ecanzeni. In the 68th minute with one of their few shots on target to take the final piece of silverware. Akusiyo ke second prize of European silverware kuphela nje Manchester City, but they've won their second European silverware in 140-year history after a 1970 European Cup Winners' Cup, marking the turning of a new page in English football for United Manchester City. So they become only the 23rd club to have won UEFA Champions League or its precursor. So when Linda Master joins us later on the show, Erling Haaland's debut, 52 goals in 53 games and winning 3 trophies. That is brilliant, something we've never seen before. Pep Guardiola's history Manchester City, Eche Kanjani, Manchester City, Rodrigo being the man of the match as well. We also do want to hear how did that game go for him. Kevin De Bruyne sekune narrative lekhona ukuthi kuma final ma game nomqoka unendlela nje yekunyamalala. Is it intentional or is it not? Stava ke kuyo analyst yethu Linda Master Dlamini ngenza.
It's 4 minutes after 6. Daba hloto maketena SBS thatha indaba deswati.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sidimisele kusakata tindzaba nje ngaleso sikhathi tindzaba letide emagama lacosheme letitsembekile letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele. Siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulo msakato siphinde sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato wetitfombe iEswatini TV.
Asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni ngonelo muhle kuphela imizuzu lesikhombisa kubumbene insimbi yesithupha ke sithathe indaba talapha ekhaya. Liphini landvuna nkhulu uThemba Masuku lithi ke livela kuleli kanye nelive leTaiwan batosayina isivumelwano sekusebenzisana lesitakwenda ukuthi ibothishela besingisi bakuleli bawufundzisa kulela live liphindze ke live laseTaiwan likhulise tinhlelo talo lelitenta kuleli tekucecesha eMaswati etifundveni temakhono. Masuku kusho lokwegedeni engwenya lapho bekabika khona ngelihambo lwakhe lwa7 leTaiwan. Masuku bekabambe umhlangano namengameli wakulela live Tsai Ing-wen kanye naletinye tindvuna tembuso kulela live.
Liphinda ndvuna nkulu Themba Masuku libika ngelihambo lalo lelitsethe liviki lonke laseveni laseTaiwan lapho lihlangene netinhlangothi letinyenti letehlukahlukene.
Avete ipresident ukuthi angeke kume lapho lokubambisana utathuthuka kuyembili. Dinenge inhlangothi ngetengatibala tonke lesakhuluma ngalokuthuthuka. Bese sibonana ke nenduna yetangaphandle yakhona eTaiwan. Nakhona dabati netindzaba lesakhuluma lokufaka ekhatsi indzaba kweswelakala kwemisebenzi yabantu labasha. Kutoqashwa bothishela labafundzisa singisi kakhulu ngoba iTaiwan inemgomo wekuthi by 2030 lonke lishana libe khona khuluma singisi. Ngakho ke kungako batawufuca ngalendlela le. Kepha nathi sigcizelele ukuthi cha phela ningabothatha kakhulu kulamanye emave ngoba ngithi lesina thathe kakhulu la ngithi ukuthi kungashoda bese niyababonela ke labanye. Umsebenzi wevocational isicela ukuthi bachubeke abengete nje kakhulu kutobambisana nelive kutotraineka labo labangakakhona ukungena university but bente ema-vocations naloko silungisela ukuthi kuphindze kube ne-MOU letawo bamba leto nhlangothi ukuthi nase sinabo carpenter labaningi sinabo plumber labaningi nema-electrician labaningi lasanga-absorbeke kule economy yethu ngoba incane ngeke ba-absorbe bona kepha bese siba nema-MOU ukuthi sikhone kubathengisela noma ke sibanikete lawo ma-technicians latawukhona ukuthi ayosebenza khona.
Masuku uthi asesekulela unakile ukuthi banyenti bantfwana beMaswati labafundzela kulela live uthi asehlangene labafundzi ubanike isitfombe lesingiso ngalokwentekako kuleli kunaloko labakufundze tinkundleni tekwekuchumana lekude macinisa uthi labafundzi bavakalisa neshisekelo yelikhethwa baveta ukuthi kube kuya ngabo bebatawuvota ngetebuchwephesha etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla inasimuva shonge sengwenya.
Ngakulokunye eliphini landvuna nkhulu uThemba Masuku lisilive leTaiwan kanye nebahlanyeli timali bakulo sebathembise ukukhulisa timali labatatihlanyela kuleli. Masuku kusho lokhu ngesikhathi yaphendvula umbuto ukuthi ekuhlanganeni kwakhe nebahlanyeli timali bakulela live ukhanze ukuthi lingakanani lithemba lekuchubeka nekuhlanyela timali lapha eSwatini. Kulandzela ke kuboshwa kwalabanye bebakadze basusa lithuthuva kuleli.
Bane confidence lenkulu ngalokuthi uma athi uhulumende sitawuvikela investment yenu sitawavikela eMaswati kulokunya kunothatha kufuna nabo ba-investe ku-patience njengathi loku si-investa ku-patience nasithi sitakwenta lokho nasithi sitakuthola sikusho kona nje leyo i-patience lesibanayo lapho singatatateli so ba-confident kakhulu bafuna ne-expand ngoba bayabona ukuthi kune-confidence kune-rule of law kule live lokhu mcoka kakhulu kulamanye amave asingeke sithini kepha la lengufike nasikhuluma nakule private sector bathi i-rule of law and kusho ukuthi-ke i-investment sisebheke ukuthi labakhona benabe labangekho bethwala imajazi abo kusuka le labakahle basuse khona balethela so sichazile uyamangala na ulalela bengilalela foreign minister wakhona athi lesithombe lenginika sona uyamangala ngoba ukhanza uzwele si-realistic kunaleli esinye lokunya bengakwethembe ukuthi kungekho at least sesimtekela la sifika khona sibeka isithombe se-unrest sibeka isithombe sekuthi labo laba bahlukumede live lo mthetho uyalandzela asingenzi ne-political.
Sakubhalise abantu labangetulu kwetinkulungwane letingemakhulu lamane babhaliselwa likhetfo lwalonyaka luchumanisa sive nelibandla letelikhetfo nemincele embonisa ibhembe uthi tinombolo tabomake nebantu labakhubatekile solo-ke tiyajabulisa.
Libandla letelukhetfo nemincele yetinkundla i-Elections and Boundaries Commission EBC lithi solo kuyajabulisa kubona eMaswati asungumwe ngebuningi bawo akhombisa inshisekelo yokuba ingcenye yokwakha live abhaliselwa likhetfo ahamba ngesicubulo selive lesithi ngetengasala nasakha live letfu. Lochumanisa lelibandla nesive mbonisa ibhembe uthi kungumanje eMaswati lesa abhalisile angetulu kwetinkulungwane letingemakhulu lamane lathi tinombolo talabo labacalako ukuvota first time voters solo tisalela emuva.
Alo nawubona sesingena emini yasekuseni tinombolo setikhomba ukuthi seti 415,000 le kutinombolo tikhombisa ukuthi eMaswati vele sekasukumile aphuma ngelisasasa and nombolo leti lo tibona ukuthi tiyakhutsata kuwo lo msebenzi walo kubhalisela likhetfo asingene sikhutsate insha ikakhulu sifise kukhuluma nganaba labatawe bacala kubhalisa kule minyaka le-18 kuya ku-24 years ukuthi eMaswati sekafikile esigabeni lapho khona afanele ayowenda umsebenzi welive uma ngabe sibuka nje sithi leli butho leli itolo kumbe besilithatha ukuthi engcenye yebantwana lamhla sibantu labadzala le live lithembe bona ukuthi uma ngabe sithide ungasali nasakha live fanele basifake bafake litshe esivivaneni bafake isandla ekuphatheni le live njengomthethosisekelo usho section 79 ukuthi wonke umuntu akafake isandla ekuphatheni le live ekwakheni le live ngelikhetho akasukuma eMaswati ayobhalisa siyakhutsata emsakani.
Sigaba sekubhalisa kubheka ukuthi siphethe mhla til-14 kule nyanga lesetulu. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika samkeliswe khoza kunagiyani Msibi enkanini.
Emanconywa elidolobha lakaManzini eWard 5 sekathembisa sive lesihlala kuleli ward ukuthi ngekusebenzisana namasipala waleli dolobha atawusukumisa tinhlelo tentfutfuko letawunaka nenhlalakahle yesive sakulendzawo. Lamanconywa bekakhuluma ngesikhatsi yakhankasa endzaweni yase-Murray Camp ngelisonto.
Ngelisonto emakhetfa lamathathu elidolobha lakaManzini eWard 5 lokuyindzawo yase-Murray Park Ndunja kanye nasesikhunyane ahlangane nesive sendzawo lesihlala ngaphansi kwetindzawo letikuleli wadi kukhankasela kuba likhansela la Ward 5.
Ngicabanga ukuthi isive sase ku Ward 5 nangabe siyangikhetha ngiyathembisa ukuthi sitawuthola umholi lofisako ukusebentela bona afeze nato tonke tifiso tabo labanato.
Ndawukwenza siqiniseke ukuthi ngiyabamela nalendzawo labahlala kiyo le bathuswa ukuthi bangendeka bamukwe ndawenda show ukuthi ipreference yekuqala ukuthi ibuye kubantu ngibo
Ikakhulukati my sister ngulenza ba job opportunities njengaloku sibonile nje emavikini laphelila ingosi ingwenyama ide yatohlaba lisoyi etindzaweni letimbili kusho kona ke ukuthi le misebenzi isetawuvuleka la edolobheni kwethu ke si youth sibomake sibobabe sengokuthi ke sitihlele ngokuthi siyithola njani lena misebenzi
sive sibe sesiyawaphathisa lamakhetfa
Sinihamba neyalena nisicabangele ukuthi labantwana badinga imisebenzi badinga kufundiswa
kuko konke lesikudingile kunye ngumsebenzi ngoba bonke labami labahleli la ngokhanza ukuthi half yabo ayisebenzi kude imisebenzi.
Umphathi welkhetfa edolobheni kaManzini Gordon Mbuli uvete timvo lokumele emakhetfa nesive sikunaka kusayiwa khona elkhetfeni.
Kubucala ke bonkhosi lokwekuthi any of the three candidates lalambikweni ngekukhohlakala sekatawuhamba afumbathisa abantu timali.
Lesigaba sekukhankasa sitawuphela mhlati nge-23 kulonyanga lesetulu bese kuvotwa ngelanga lelilandzelako mhlati nge-24. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelisiwe Khoza kunagiyani Msibi kaManzini.
Umndeni wakanzima endzaweni yasemdzangweni eMbabane lapho kwashona khona babe make kanye nemvana bathi phika tinsolo tekuthi bashona ngemuva kwekunatha indayela njengaloko ukuthi ke noma indayela beyendiwe kodwa abayinathanga bomufi lokho kuvetwe nguWalter Nzima emgcwabeni walabala bathathu lobe ukathe ke ungenelwe ngemakhulu emaswati lebekakathe atobafihla.
Laba labathathu lokungibonga Nzima umkakhe nokuthula kanye nendvuzakati yabo tiyanza bashona naletimbili kulenyanga lesetulu tinsolo lebetikhona ukuthi bashona ngemuva kwekunatha indayela kodwa lo mndeni wabo uyaticitha letinsolo. Baba Bongani lokungoltha uthembisa ukuthi kutawuthi kugezwe manje atawube sekavakele maciniso kuthi laba labathathu babulewe yini njengaloku bangilomndeni abayikholwa indzaba yokuthi babulewe indayela.
Akubona kona ukuthi bekwentiwe indayela kodwa sabona ufakazi ukuthi indayela ndini sengazi babulalela ngoba sitholanga nenkomisha bebanatha ngayo nalo bodlela lehendgesi ngenteka nalo libe lifake isandla kodwa ke nebantu nje phaqa ngoba lapho bakhona laba bacoca njengoba laba bebasha bengumakile lokukhulunywa kulabantu ebusuku ukuthi nini bathakathi senifuna lokudla nibulela abantwana abanzima ngoba nifuna lokudla ngumakile lo.
Labo labangenela inkonzo yemlinzelo eyalamalunga lamathathu akanzima babeke kanjena ngesikhathi kuchubeka umlinzelo.
Siyawukhalela nemango nabomakhelwane labehlethi nabo ekunene siyabakhalela Nkosi yami nebantwana nestaff sonke sasesikolweni sithi nje asibeni ngcesini sonkana.
Livangeli lesime kulo ivangeli elivezayo ukuthi impilo ayinayo igaranti.
Bantwana sisatawuhle sibahlola until emadvolo aceke noma acegiswa yini ngemadvolo leminyaka.
Bashona nje bebesacaba endzaweni yasemdzangweni njengaloku bashiyelenye indlu basayifulela athite nasekwehlisa amabhokisi abo kwachuma sililo kakhulu emndenini yabo. Umufi Bongani Nzima beka neminyaka lengu-45 kanti bekasebenza eMedlab bese umkakhe loshonile naye lokunokuthula beka neminyaka lengu-43 bekasebenza etiko letemthetho kanye nemthethosisekelo. Indvuzakati yalabo umufi loshonile tiyanza bekakatha neminyaka le-11 bekafundza esikoleni seSt Francis kani bekakatha luwele etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngina simuva shonge semdzangweni.
Takhamuti letalinyalelwa tindlu tato make kwakhiwa umgwaco nesikhumulo setindiza esikhuphe lesolo tingatfolanga imali yato nakuncephetelwa labalinyalelwa tindlu setincumeke kuyohlangana nemmeli lotawuchubeka nalendzaba bate batfole lokungekwabo. Letakhamuti betihlangene esikolweni lesincane sasentandweni titsingitsa kuncephetelwa kwato ngelisonto.
Labo labalanyelelwa tindlu nakwakhiwa umgwaco esikhuphe lesolo banganikwa timali tabo bahlangene ngelisonto kuphuma nelikhambi ukuthi benda njani njengoba solo bashaya sibibithwane lendzaba ilinyeva kubo. Sithembiso Dludlu longusihlalo wabosihlalo walabalinyalelwa tindlu uchaza ngengcikithi yalo mhlangano wabo.
Sifiso sethu singukuthi njengoba sithi siya kummeli sifuna leliqiniso lokuthi okay nabamthuma consultant etala bekathunywe muphi umsebenzi bekatobhadala bobani.
Lilunga lekomiti Mavela Gama lithi kuba visa buhlungu ukuthi kunalababhadelwe labanye-ke solo kababhadalwa kanti-ke abanikwa netimphendvulo ukuthi kuya ngani bangabhadalwa.
Lama issues lapha makhulu bekumele ngesingami nje mina lapha there was never verification, so uthi uhulumende ugcine ayikhipha njani la imali asathi ngiko sithi lesifuna imandate bese sifune the report leyendela umsebenzi lebhadalela abantu futhi we have evidence ukuthi kuleya report kunetindlu letingekho lamhlabeni hayi nala kumalini letibhadela. They are aware but kude lo ufuna kude ukhona tindlu bantu lababhadelwe abekho la ukhona bantu laba 2 kilometers away from le blasting abakabhadala bese kuba nemuntu lo 25 kilometers away ubhadela.
Indvuna yelitiko letekuhlela umnotho nentuthuko Dr. Tambo Gina sikhuluma nayo ilicingweni ngetikhalo lesive ivumile ukuthi mabhalanelo omkhulu welitiko uhlangene nasoke lesive ngalesine lesisuka kuyo. Indvuna-ke isameleke ibhodi yaloyo mhlangano nesive. Etindzabeni ngingigiyani Msibi kunasamkelisiwe Khoza esikhuphe.
Kulandzela kuhlasela kwemkhuhlane i-COVID-19 eminyakeni lemibili engcile leyashiya abantu labanyenti bede imisebenzi ikakhulu abantu labasha. Inkundla yasehukweni ichubeka nelihlelo lwayo lokucecesha abantu labasha etifundweni temakhono lokufaka ekhatsi tekufaka bogesi etindlini. Kanti-ke ngekusho kwendvuna yenkundla Titus Mkhabela sebange-24 abantu labasha lesebaceceshelwe-ke kufaka gesi njengaloku ngengongoni eminyakeni lophelile kwaphotfulala bal-15 kwase kule mpelasonto kwaphotfulala bayimfica.
Abafunzi basekelwe ngetimali inkundla yasehukweni ekubhadeleni tindleko tekufundzela tifundo tekufaka gesi. Indvuna yenkundla kule nkundla Titus Mkhabela ithi inkundla ifise kulekelela abantu labasha ekufunzeleni lamanye makhono.
Hlelo luthu beluthi naseminyakeni lotako babe khona lamakhono vele kube ngitona sithambise embili ngoba ngitona letingenda ukuthi umuntu akhona ukuphilisa noma ngabe mhlawumbe akakhona ukuceda esikolweni kodwa likhona likhono la ngalenda kuze akhona ukuphilisa.
Labantu labasha lebe baphotfula bathemba ukuthi itimpilo tabo setitawushintsha.
Sengingakhona nami ukuveta ukuthi cha nakule ngikwendile mina ngiyakhona kwenda gesi.
Mhlawumbe ingashintsha kakhulu because of kuloko engikufundile. I'm going to implement a lot of strategies.
Munye wabotishela benkampani yaka-Convert Tides lebe ichuba letifundo zinhle emkhatshwa uthi labafunzi batobalandzelela ukuthi bayayitfola yini imisebenzi.
Asigcini lana ukuthi sibafundise sibayekele. Bayahamba bayo grade test labamfana.
Lenkundla ithi injongo yayo lenkulu ukuthi icishe bonke abantu labasha kule nkundla babe ngulabo labanamaphepha imisebenzi itsite. Etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla isehukweni.
Mkhulu Ben Dlamini wakumahwalala ucela lisito eziveni lokwelaphisa tinyawo takhe leticacambako letiphindze timfuthele kangangoba akasakhona nekuhamba ngoba kuyakunyatheleka iphansi. Mkhulu uthi kude la ngakahambi khona afuna lisito akasidakali.
Mkhulu Ben Dlamini wakumahwalela uthi akakhoni nekunyathela phansi ngoba tinyawo takhe tiyacacamba tiyamfuthela. Loku-ke yintfo leseyineminyaka yamphatha sewahlala phansi. Mkhulu uthi sewuhambe etibhedlela solo nani kusitakala. Ucela longabane likhambi ukuthi angenda njani kuteke aphile afane amside ngoba uyafuthelwa. Uthi-ke sewufisa nekufa noma-ke kujutshwe leto tinyawo letimfuthelako ngoba kakasakhoni kuphila.
Ngihamba hlala insinde manje asalala insinde tibuhlungu ativumi nje manje nami ngiyamathi nginani ngaye angikhuluma tinyanga tithela la umuthi la nginathisa nginathi amabhodlela waqefu to ngehlulekile tinyanga la imithi ngiyinatha la angiyathi thingakhe abanye bafike bangikhiphisa imali khona la bathi kuke lapha imali engaka ngikhiphe do.
Mkhulu-ke uyakucela nalokuya ethunjini ngoba akasakhona ukuthi ihambela atendele tintfo latidzingako njengoba sewahlala phansi. Kanti-ke lona sifiso sokumsita mkhulu angashayela nosisazwane enombolweni lethi 791 3301 noma-ke ku-7632 0388. Kubika Giyani Msibi ngikumahwalala.
Bosomabhizinisi labancane labathengisa embadlane eceleni kwemigwaqo bathi nanoma emalanga angafane ebhizinisini bahleke bacobonga bahleke babuyela lide ekhaya kodwa ke le yandzawo ihlanganisa tindzawo letiningi lokwenta bachubeke nekuthengisa.
Bosomabhizinisi labancane endzaweni yasembadlane babonakala baba baningi impela ebhizinisini labathengisa eceleni komgwaqo. Labo somabhizinisi bathengisa lokwahlukahlukene lokukhanga emakhasimende. Libandla itindzaba libakhulumisile ukuthi yini lebakhangako kuleyo ndzawo sebanza njena ukuthi ibhizinisi ingabe bahambela njani kuleyo ndzawo lebakanekise kuyo.
Kude mfanami inzuzo lesitholako kangako. Ngalelinye ilanga kuyathola ngalelinye ilanga vele ubuyele ekhaya ungakaphathi lutho ngaloko ukuthi nje seyinfo yethu sesitayele lokuvukela lana sayikhetha mfanami ngaloko ukuthi nguwona mgwaqo lona lose uhlanganisa tonke letimoto nabantu labaqhamuka ngala nalabaqhamuka ngala bete batogibela lana than lomunye umgwaqo vele aseyi highway leyo akumi timoto manje lana sinenhlanhla thuke tima.
Ngenyelanga kukhona nyelanga ubila kude kodwa nje thembe uNkulunkulu nyelanga utasendela kube kuningi.
Kukhula kwabosomabhizinisi labancane ebhizinisini kuyintfo lekhutsatwa yinkampani ethuthukisa bosomabhizinisi labancane eveni iSetco. Endzabeni tanamuhla kubika Giyane Msibi ngina Samuel Siwekhoza na Sikhumbuzo Dlamini sisembadlane.
Ngijim takuleli letiyomelela live emidlalweni yema-Special Olympics World Games eveni lase-Germany lokungineliswa Mkhabela kanye naShago Mohammed tithi tiyethembisa ukuthi titawubuya-ke netimendlela kule midlalo letingijimi betikhuluma egedeni laseNgwenya lapho bese tilibhekise khona eveni lase-Germany.
Live leSwatini ngilelinye lemave letongenela imidlalo yema-Special Olympics World Game eveni laseJalimane kusukela mhla ka-11 kuya umhla ka-28 kuyona inyanga lesetulu. Kule midlalo live litomelelwa tingijimi letimbili kule midlalo kanti umcondzisi wetemidlalo ngaphasi kwenhlangano yema-Special Olympics Mtsethelelo Sigwani uyachaza ukuthi kungani bahambe netingijimi letimbili kanti ngeminyaka wa-2020 eGibhithe bebahambe netingijimi letine.
Yebo siyavuma ama-games lamakhulu but because of i-COVID babese bayasilimita kahle kahle kwakufuna sihambise bantwana labangu-10 but because of COVID still beve ngazuthi 2 is going to be fine for us. Kona beku up and down but yeah kugcine kuphumelele siyethembisa everything is going to be well.
Letingijimi letimbili letiyomelela live kule midlalo tikhuluma livilinye lekuthi tilungele kuyongenela le midlalo.
Ngiready futhi ngiyathembisa ukuthi ngidowubuya ne-gold medal. Sikhonile kutilungiselela kahle si ready nje kahle kahle ngoba bangathi nyala sigijime ngavele ngijime.
Obviously igolide ngidalithatha but ngiready kakhulu. Sicale saba nenkinga but nyalo sekuright konke.
Edward Ndlangamandla nguye umceceshi lohambe naletingijimi kanye naNtsethelelo Sigwane. Kanti kubeka ukuthi babuye ekhaya mhla ka-28 kuyo inyanga lesetulu. Lobikela umsakati Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini na Fortune Ndlangamandla sisegedeni laseNgwenya.
Betingawo-ke tindzaba talapha eveni lesikuphathele tona lo mhla ekuseni sithatha simo selitulo sibahlela etimakethe nasibuya sichubeka nehlelo.
All right, welcome back. Sivusele na Olosanza Kuzivulile. As we had mentioned earlier, ukuthi sihlaba sikhuluma sana Director Commercial from the Royal Eswatini National Airways sikhuluma kabanti ngama routes abo live 4 laseba launchile. You'll recall that the first flight was launched from the HMK International Airport on the 26th of March 2023, and the second flight was from the HMK International Airport to Harare on the 14th of April 2023, and Durban was added to the schedule in the third phase on the 5th of May. And the fourth and final launch phase entailed the addition of Cape Town to the route network, which launched on the 2nd of June 2023. I'm joined by the Director Commercial from RENAC, Mr. Xavier Masula, to talk more about the summary of all the routes that were launched last month. Good morning and welcome, sir, and congratulations on all the 4 destinations or routes that RENAC has launched, or rather Eswatini Air. We just want to find out how did it go, any challenges experienced, and what is the response to the market, to the new service?
Thank you, and good morning to our viewers. Yes, the launch was successful. We managed to launch all 4 destinations per the plan. It was overwhelming. This is a new operation, brand new. So there's quite a lot of processes. There's a lot of systems. And there's also a lot of interactions between the systems, processes, and the people who are behind the scenes to make sure that everything goes according to plan. We are very happy that everything worked according to plan. Obviously, it's typical that you'll have teething problems here and there, small, but there was nothing major that could be visible or which could result in us having to put on hold the plans. To date, we have operated more than 500 flights, and this includes the rescheduling that happened. I'll allude to that just now. And from the 500 flights that we have operated, we have only cancelled 3, 2 as a result of weather challenges that we had, and 1 was a planned cancellation in order to make provision for marketing activities during the inaugural flight.
Yeah, all right. So last week you went to Cape Town on the 2nd of June. You know, Cape Town is regarded to be a special destination for some people. What can Eswatini expect, on this route? How is it relevant to us here in Eswatini?
Thanks. Maybe 2 parts to that. The airline is offering 3 flights a week on the most convenient days of the week. So we allow to take Eswatini to Cape Town for weekends. If you want to stay a bit longer, you can leave on Wednesday and come back on Sunday, or you go on Sunday and come back on Wednesday or Friday. The price is affordable. It's very affordable, and the quality of the service that we give is in line with international standards. So it's a very good value that we are giving the Eswatinis. Now, in terms of Cape Town, yes, it's a very special destination. It's a well-known destination. It's the destination you go to if you want to have laid-back experience. There's a lot of attractions, natural attractions from the majestic Table Mountain, Sea Point. There's a lot of activities, sea activities if you want to do boat cruises. There's ample shopping facilities. There's good restaurants with good food. So the things, it's a getaway place. We believe that we are making this opportunity available so that the Eswatinis can have opportunities to retreat if they want to go and chill, relax, and take breaks from the routine.
Okay. So I know that, when this airline was launched, or rather established, Eswatini Air, there were objectives that you guys wanted to meet. Are you on the course on meeting these objectives?
Indeed. The compelling reasons for establishing the airline from the shareholder perspective is to ensure that the country is connected. So with the 4 destinations that we have launched, you don't need to go via Johannesburg or drive by road to Johannesburg to catch a flight to go somewhere else. So travel time between Eswatini and other destinations has been shortened greatly. Fares have reduced and are now accessible and affordable to the majority of the people. And we see that the traffic volumes are increasing. People who ordinarily would not have flown are now flying. We have also created jobs in the economy. The airline is buying majority of its services and goods from the local economy. So we are contributing to GDP and empowering the economy. So these are some of the benefits and objectives for which the airline was established. And there is already a lot of visibility across all perspectives, that the airline is adding value. And as we unfold and as we move forward, the value that the airline adds to the economy and the contributions to socio-economic development of the country will become more visible, and we believe that the impact will be felt.
All right. So I wanted to talk about the recent destination that you guys went to, being Cape Town. What are the attractions that people can look forward to? What are the places that Eswatini can go visit whilst in Cape Town?
Yes, Cape Town has a lot to offer, from the farm winelands, from the sea point, from the Table Mountain. We have the waterfront. So there's quite a lot of festivals and events that happen throughout the year in Cape Town, be it music, other forms of entertainment, sports. So the Cape Town calendar is unlimited. I don't want to sound like a marketing officer of the city of Cape Town, but it's one of those destinations which one cannot really miss. You need to at least go there once or twice a year if you want to have laid-back fun and relaxation.
Right.
Cape Town is also home to some of the best medical facilities in the world. So we are making it easier for those that need special medical attention to also reach those facilities at an affordable price.
Yeah.
So it's a must-go-to place.
Speaking of prices, your prices, Mr. Zeva, seem to be affordable. So how long do you plan on keeping these fares available? Do you plan on increasing them in the near future?
Yes, we started with what we call launch specials. So these launch specials will be available during the launch season, which ends March 2024.
Okay.
Beyond that, there will be marginal increases to make sure that we remain sustainable. And those marginal increases are calculated in such a way that it won't make a big impact, because the idea for us is to make the service available while at the same time trying to cover our costs. So in short, I would say our fares, even beyond the launch season, will remain affordable and accessible to majority of the people.
Okay, so are you planning on adding more destinations, on top of the 4 that we have now? Can we look forward to more destinations being added?
Yes, the 4 are the launch destinations which we needed to launch so that we can stabilize the operation. The airline needs to grow in order to create the required economies of scale. So from April, May next year, we are looking at adding 2 to 3 other destinations. We are not in a position to announce or to mention which destinations they are yet before we get the required governmental approvals. But yes, there will be some destinations added as early as next year.
Next year?
Sure.
Oh, that's great. All right, I want to find out what is special about Eswatini Air? Why should people change from their old means of traveling and use Eswatini Air?
Thanks. Travel by air is a modern means of transport. It's convenient, it's safe, it's fast, and with Eswatini Air, we are making it available at a very affordable, at affordable tariffs. So instead of, let's pick Johannesburg, which is the closest destination we have. You spend 4 hours on the road going one way, another 4 hours coming back. So that is already 8 to 10 hours that you spend on the road, and that time could have been spent productively somewhere else. So what we do is we are reducing the amount of time spent on the road so that the availed time is used productively. It's also accessible in terms of the price. In majority of cases, you'll find that it's even cheaper to fly than to go by road, depending on what type of vehicle you are using or which mode of transport you are using. We also see it as safe. You don't have to worry about the potholes. It's a highly regulated industry, and Eswatini Air subscribes to the highest order in terms of compliance. So these are some of the benefits which might not be visible, which we need to make the masses to be aware of so that they can start using Eswatini Air. It's our airline. We need to support it. Many communities out there are crying or dying to have this kind of facilities and services made available for them, and they still don't have it. So let's enjoy what we have. Let's support what we have to ensure that it remains sustainable.
Okay. Are we going to see any changes going further in terms of the routes? As you did mention that, flights from Cape Town are only 3 times a week. Can we probably have flights like daily from Monday to Sunday? Is that possible? Can we see that in the near future?
Yes, that's the plan. We needed to launch because it's a new operation. We launch and then we grow the business in line with the market response. So our plans is to have on all the routes minimum of 1 flight per week, 1 flight per day, sorry. In those markets that will grow faster, we should be moving to 2 flights a day, 3 flights a day, including the routes that will be launched in the near future.
All right. So lastly, Mr. Xavier, bookings, how can you do that? Can we now do our bookings online?
Yes, thanks. Our distribution, we do have our own ticketing offices in Manzini. We have a call center that is in Matsapa. The telephone numbers and email addresses are published. The preferred mode of buying, which we are promoting, is for people to book from the convenience of their homes or offices by logging onto our website, eswatini.co.sz. And through that self-service platform, you can pay for your ticket, and it will be delivered to your email.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Xavier. Thank you for giving us that update on all your 4 routes or destinations that you have launched recently, the Cape Town being the recent one on the 2nd of June. Mbukeli besikhulumisana naye Mr. Xavier usuka khona ka-Renac. Siyakabandi njenge-summary yokuthi ingabe bahambe kanjani kulama destinations abo lamane asebawasukumise ngalokusemthethweni. Let's take a break, sabe sichubeke nehlelo.
Siphinze sikwamukele ngolelo omuhle kulesikhathi senyalo sitawubuka tindzaba lethambe embili kule mphela sonto. Siqale nganasi-ke lapho khona sibone khona Mvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini athi live laseSwatini selikulungele kubamba umhlangano we-24 wenhlangano lebukete kuthengiselana kumave asempumalanga kanye-ke neningizimu ne-Afrika iCOMESA. Umhlangano-ke ubanjelwe lapha eSwatini ngeminyaka wa-2025 kanti-ke letindzaba leti tivakale nakuvalwa ngalokusemthethweni umhlangano we-22 wayo lenhlangano edolobheni iLusaka eveni leZambia.
Azike nenye indzaba ehamba embili kule mphela sonto ngeindzaba yendvuna yelitiko letekwatisa tekuchumana nebuciko ngozotana sikhanyiso lethi i-Real Science and Technology Park angeke yemuke eMaswati litfuba lekuthi acubungule timvo letinsha. Ngozotana-ke yathi umthetho losakhankanywa lotowakha yona i-RSTP utawunika lenkampani yahulumende imandla yokutfola timvo letakhiwe ngebucingo nasemaveni angephandle. Indvuna-ke yayikhuluma endlini yetimphunga ngesikhathi kubukwa sigaba ngesigaba sanomthetho losakhankanywa.
Kanti-ke kuleti chamuke etiko letemafa ikomiti lelibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letemafa endlini yabayesikhulu lithi kuyawadulela eMaswati kuthi asuke ekhaya ayobhadala umthelo wenhloko wemahhovisi ahulumende njengoba-ke kufuna agibele kanti wona angephansi kwemalangeni lange-20. Sihlalo waleli komiti Mawik Khumalo wathi-ke lo mthelo lona awusathingeki futhi awususwe. Khumalo ukuvete lokhu ePhalamende ngesikhathi kudzingidwa umbiko waleli komiti ngekususwa kwalo mthetho.
Kanti sibona nje letote ndvuna yelitiko letekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo Moses Vilakati yona yathi isive saMaswati kufanele sibuke ematfuba ebhizinisi langayibhubhisi imvelo njengoba kufanele ikhandwe natitukulwane letitako. Ndvuna-ke beyikhuluma ngesikhathi ihlangene nesive emphakatsi kaMalinza lapho beyiye kuyohlanyela tihlahla temvelo njengoba inyanga yenhlaba inyanga yekubungata temvelo.
Kanti-ke naletinye lechichamuka khona ePhalamende indlaba yesikhulu ujikisile-ke umthetho losakhankanywa wetindzaba temthelo eveni the Tax Administration Bill of 2020. Kanti-ke sihlalo walo likomiti lelibuke kusebenta kwelitiko letemafa kule ndlu Mawik Khumalo uthite-ke lo mthetho ususelwa emitsetfweni lemidzala kakhulu kanti-ke tikhatsi setishintshile. Khumalo kushito lokhu ePhalamende ngesikhathi yanxusa indlu ukuthi uncanze lo mthetho losakhankanywa.
Solo sachubeka nje siyabuka le toti indzaba lebetendeka kule mpelasonto kanti ke kwavela ukuthi kubheke ukuthi kuzuza emakhaya ebafuyi lafikako ku-10,000 ngaphansi kwenkundla yasemaphalaleni uma acala kusebenza emahhovisi abomadibhane lakhiwe luphiko lwahulumende laka microprojects kule nkundla lunga lephalamende lenkundla yasemaphalaleni mabulala maseko yathi nebafuyi benkundla yasenkhaba batawuzuza njengaloko kubheke ukuthi emadibhi lafikako emashumini lamathathu atawusebenzisa lamahhovisi kanye nendlu yekuhlala tisebenzi letitawube tisebenta kuwo kubite imali lengetulu kwetigidzi letintsatfu temalangeni 3 million emalangeni kanti ke sive sifake imali lengetulu kwa 200,000 emalangeni.
Ya kanti ke sisachubeka nato lethambe embili sibuka nje Tinini Delive dokotela wengqondo ngaphansi kweliphiko lwe-Taiwan Medical Mission Dr. Liu Wen uthi sive lesinyende emimangweni sihlaselwe ngumkhuhlane netifo letahlukene tesikhumba. Dr. Ewen bekakhuluma ngesikhathi loliphiko luniketa sive senkhundla yasemhlambanyathi lusito lwetemphilo lwamahala.
Kuleti buya etfundini community meeting sikhulu semphakathi wasetfundini Chief Ndladla Ndwandwe sahlanganisa sive sakulomphakathi khulumisa indzaba yemanti lebonakala ilinyeva kulendzawo lesivike sahlanganiswa nje sekunesikoleti lesengcako etinkhulungwaneni letilikhulu temalangeni 100,000 lekuyimali yagesi lo sentshentiswa etinjinini tekutfonsa imanti emfuleni inkomazi mhlane ke waphinze waba lapho kwethulwa khona umsebenzi wekwakhiwa kwelihola lemango.
Kanti ke sisachubeka nato nje kukhona leqhamuka lapha ebanconywa kanti ke banconywa elikhethweni lwemadolobha labafuna kuba amakhansela bathembisa ukuthi uma sebangenile ehhovisi batayisebenta ngekukhandla indzaba yemali yemthelo wetitandi lebhadalwa abantu labadzala lese bangasasebenzi labanetitandi emadolobheni kanti ke labanconywa bathi abantu labadzala gameli bachubeke nekubhadala umthelo wetitandi njengalokhu babesa basakhoni kuwabhadala bagcine sebadliwe titandi kanye ke netindzawo tabo.
Uzala yeselo nje sachubeka nje sibuka letota ngempelasonto tindzaba sivele sihlala edolobheni lakumathapha sesicelele lidolobha ukuthi etinhlelweni talo tentuthuko alifake ekhatsi umtholampilo netinhlelo letitawubuka kunciphisa siminye setimotolo kuleli dolobha lokuvetwe ngiloxhumanisa sive naleli dolobha sihle sihlongonyana emhlanganweni wokuva imivo ngentuthuko yaleli dolobha.
Kanti ke kuleti sibuka nje on a lighter note kusandile Zwane lo ngibabe walungelihle Zwane lo thume ngela Uncle Waffles kude kunanzisa lo nconywe kuma BET Awards asemelika uthi ke bathi chenya ngalokuthi umfana anganconywa kulama awards lamakhulu kangaka emhlabeni bathi ke usibonelo lesihle nakulabanye ikakhulu lababuke yena. Ya, betingawo ke leti hambe embili kule mpelasonto lapha even.
Sibahlethe makethe sebe ne traffic update.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu even akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphathamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. ngale kwaloko timpungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa eMbube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Sikwamukela ehlelweni ngonelo muhle kulesikhathi sanyalo sitawutfola yona i-traffic update ngabe sime kanjani simo emigwaqweni sivusele kuwe Ntombenhle Fakutse Mtolo ngabe sime kanjani simo emigwaqweni.
Ngikuvusele Mnguni ngivusele naye umbukeli wemsakazo imigwaqo yelive laKangwane sesihlolile singumbutho weMbube neSive imigwaqo leminengi yelive iyahambeka yebo kona ikhona leyo lenetikhinyabeto kepha ngeke timende leyo losebenzisa umgwaqo kwekuthi angakhoni kufika lapho aphokophele kufika khona emadolobha elive ke ahloliwe tiba netemgwaqo tiyasebenza tonke ngalokufanele ngaphandle kwelidolobha lelikhulu laseMbabane la khona tiba netemgwaqo lesilapha eMangwaneni tingasebenzi umgwaqo losuka khona ekhaya edolobheni eMbabane ubheke khona Scott solo uvaliwe kulandzela kona kwekuthi kuyakhiwa khona lapho umgwaqo lomkhulu losuka ehekeni laseNgwenya uye kaManzini uyahambeka nyalo ekseni yebo kona itolo eNthambama sibenako ingoti le beyikhona lapho kuwo umgwaqo losuka khona eMbabane ubheka khona eNgwenya la khona iloli beyiwele khona ekhasi emgwaqweni yawisa wona umthwalo kepha ke singasasisa sive nyalo kwekuthi loyo mgwaqo sowuhlobile kude sithinyabeto lesesikhona khona lapho nawuchubeka ke nawo umgwaqo ubheka khona kaManzini umgwaqo uyahambeka nakhona ekhasi edolobheni kumathapha sihlolile lesingakunaka nje khona lapho ngibo bantu labahamba ngetinyawo inani labo likhulu kakhulu ekhona ekhasi emgwaqweni sithi nje labo labasebenzisa wona umgwaqo abanakisise basawusebenzisa loyo mgwaqo ishiselo nayo ihloliwe umgwaqo losuka khona kaMjuda ubheke khona eCasino loyo mgwaqo loyo siyanaka malangeni lamahle kwekuthi uyakhiwa kulamalanga lo kwenta kwekuthi usuka kaMjuda uyafika khona eCasino uvaliwe akwendeki lapho kwekuthi imotolo tiwusebenzise nangabe ufuna kubheka khona komhlosheni siyakhuthaza kwekuthi asingene khona ekhasi edolobheni size siyawuphumela khona eCasino kuze kuthi sihambe ngekuphepha ngale kwaloko msakati naye umbukeli imigwaqo elivela kaNgwane iyahambeka ngaphandle kwalesi lesentishito sikabedo kungaba kusisela yena umbukeli usuku loluhle naloluphephile basetawusebenzisa yona imigwaqo elivela kaNgwane.
Sibakhulu Mtolo sikhathi sakho lomhla ekuseni sethemba usikene bachube imotolo batawucaphela lapho kunetikabedo khona emigwaqweni asibahlole imakethe uma sibuya international news.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipt after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your slip after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at international news. Shelling and gunfire resumed on Sunday in the Sudanese capital at the end of a 24-hour ceasefire that had given civilians rare respite from nearly 2 months of war.
After 24 hours of calm in the streets, shelling and fighting picked up again in Khartoum. The ceasefire agreed by US and Saudi mediators allowed civilians to get humanitarian assistance. But with stocks running low, residents struggled to find food and essential supplies.
The stores are empty and all kinds of goods are in short supply. The surrounding grocery stores have long been out of goods, plus the hospital is closed and there is a severe shortage of medical resources. This is the biggest problem we face right now.
This is the latest truce in a series of failed attempts to stop the violence between the Sudanese army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group, with the United States imposing sanctions on both rivals. Army Chief Burhan and Rapid Support Forces Commander Dagalo fell out over military restructuring plans in the country's transition to civilian rule, following the ousting of President Omar al-Bashir in 2019. The conflict broke out on April 15th in Khartoum and in the western region of Darfur, displacing almost 2 million people, with many seeking refuge in neighbouring countries like Egypt and Chad. The UN estimates the fighting has left 25 million people, the equivalent of over half of Sudan's population, seeking humanitarian aid.
Hundreds of residents of the French town of Annecy gathered on Sunday to honor the people who rushed to stop a man accused of stabbing 6 people, including 4 toddlers, at a playground last week.
A trip to the magistrate's office for formal charges. The man accused of brutally attacking 4 children and 2 adults with a knife has been placed under formal investigation for attempted murder and armed resistance. The local prosecutor said the attackers' actions did not appear linked to terrorism, but they were still searching for a motive.
As it stands, it is premature to assess the motivations for this act, in particular with regard to the absence of a statement from the defendant during his custody and before the investigating judges. Witnesses heard by the investigators said they heard him mention his wife, his daughter, and pronounce the name Jesus Christ.
The suspect, a 31-year-old Syrian national with refugee status in Sweden, will remain in custody. Officials say when he was arrested, he had with him the folding knife used in the stabbings, 2 Christian images and a cross, as well as €480 and a Swedish driving license. The brutal attack on such young victims has shocked France. The children, ranging in age from 1 to 3, were stabbed in a park in Annecy on Thursday. During a press conference on Saturday, the local prosecutor said the 6 victims were no longer in critical condition.
President Joe Biden and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Thursday announced an economic partnership focusing on energy transition and key technologies, and also vowed continued support for Ukraine in its defense against Russia.
A deal to ensure U.S.-UK leadership in critical and emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, economic security, digital transformation, and clean energy transition, was announced Thursday by President Joe Biden during a visit by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
I think we had a really good discussion today about our economic relationship. We launched negotiations on critical materials and an agreement to deal with climate crisis.
The so-called Atlantic Declaration will reduce strategic dependencies on adversarial powers, Sunak said.
Countries like China and Russia are willing to manipulate and exploit our openness, steal our intellectual property, use technology for authoritarian ends, or withdraw crucial resources like energy. They will not succeed.
Sunak is under domestic pressure for a comprehensive free trade agreement with the U.S. that his party promised in 2019. But there's no support from the U.S. Congress.
What Britain's trying to do now is forget about the, comprehensive free trade issues and go for wins, selective wins that don't have to go through Capitol Hill.
Ahead of the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania in July, the meeting between leaders of the top two military donors to Ukraine is also intended to signal commitment to support Kyiv in defending itself against the Russian invasion.
I believe we'll have the funding necessary to support Ukraine as long as it takes.
In his first visit to the United States since taking office, Sunak also met congressional leaders, including Republican Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. He paid respects at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and stopped by a baseball game.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to be formally charged on Tuesday for his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Opinion debates surrounding the case are growing in intensity and mostly along party lines.
The whole thing is a witch hunt.
Ahead of Donald Trump's expected appearance in a Florida courtroom on Tuesday, public discussions over his latest indictment are brewing. He faces 37 counts, including alleged willful retention of national defense information, conspiracy, obstruction, and false statements. In the opinion of Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who appeared on ABC's This Week news show, the charges are an attempt to, quote, delegitimize the former president.
You're accusing the guy of being a spy through espionage. It's not going to change my support for Donald Trump. He's innocent until proven guilty. But what I'm trying to convey to you, and I'm sorry I'm not doing a better job, that most Republicans believe that the law now is a political tool.
There's no evidence that the classified documents investigation led by special counsel Jack Smith has been weaponized. Democratic Senator Chris Coons told ABC.
And although President Trump went on the offensive last night, has attacked the Department of Justice, has called for the defunding of the FBI, I remain confident that he will get the due process of law to which he's entitled. And in the end, a jury of American citizens, a jury of his peers, will determine whether or not he was properly charged and whether or not he violated federal criminal law.
Trump announced the indictment on his Truth Social website and said in all caps that he's an innocent man. No other former U.S. president has faced federal charges. Interviewed on Fox News Sunday, former U.S. Attorney General William Barr, who served under Trump, strongly criticized the former U.S. leader's conduct, which prompted the investigation as, quote, reckless.
Battle plans for an attack on another country or Defense Department documents about our capabilities are in no universe Donald J. Trump's personal documents. I think the government acted responsibly. They gave him every opportunity to return those documents.
At the moment, support for Trump is strong, even among Republicans who are bidding for their party's nomination for the 2024 presidential race. Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy appeared on CNN's State of the Union program.
I personally have no faith whatsoever in those vague allegations. So if those are true, yes, I think that's reflective of very bad judgment. I'm skeptical that it even is true. But the bottom line is we cannot conflate a bad judgment with a violation of the law.
If Trump were to be found guilty, he could face jail time. But legal experts have said there are no laws that would stop him from running for president again.
Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail despite being under federal indictment. Trump is currently facing multiple charges of conserving classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate and other unlikely places.
Wasting no time after his federal indictment, Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail. It's his first public address since the Justice Department unsealed the 44-page document, an opportunity for the former president to hit back.
And on November 5th, 2024, we're going to stand up to the corrupt political establishment. We're going to evict a totally corrupt president named Joe Biden from the White House. I will never yield. I will never be deterred. I will never stop fighting for you. Never.
Donald Trump faces a total of 37 counts, most of willful retention of national defense information. He's accused of having kept some of the classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in some unlikely places, including a ballroom, a bathroom, even a shower. These documents included details about the US nuclear program, weapons capabilities, or even the country's potential vulnerabilities to military attacks. The indictment says tens of thousands of people could have had access to the material, though there's no evidence that it actually got into the wrong hands. Many of Trump's Republican presidential rivals have actually rallied behind him, taking swipe at the Justice Department themselves.
There's probably still a hope that the legal problems for Trump will, accumulate to a point that, he drops out of the race. They want to benefit from Trump's downfall, but they don't want to be associated with it. They don't want to be the person who pushed for it.
Donald Trump has survived impeachment twice, and though this is his second indictment in less than 3 months, his base has so far appeared undeterred by his legal woes. If convicted and given jail time, he could still run for president.
Montenegro was holding an early parliamentary election Sunday, a vote that could put an end to deep political divisions and years of instability that have hampered the small NATO member country on its route to joining the European Union.
Crowds of Montenegrins head to the polls for a snap election. Many are pinning their hopes on a new government which will apply economic reforms and bring the country closer to EU membership.
I expect a stable government, one that's better than the one we've had for the last 3 years. European membership, a better standard of living.
I expect the formation of a democratic government and parliament, and that we start moving forward.
15 parties and alliances will compete for 81 parliamentary seats. Leading the polls with just over 29% support is the pro-European movement Europe Now party, which is also calling for closer ties with Serbia. In second place with 24.1% is the DPS, which is pro-EU, and in third is the Serb nationalist pro-Russia Democratic Front with 13.2%. Montenegro, a NATO member state with a population of some 620,000 people, is a former Yugoslav republic. It split from a state union with neighbouring Serbia in 2006. The country is divided between inhabitants who see themselves as Serbs, whereas others identify as Montenegrins.
Entire villages in southern Ukraine were flooded after the Kakova Dam on the Dnipro River burst on Tuesday. One of the river's tributaries, the Inhulets, burst its banks, flooding fields and villages situated more than 50 kilometers north of Kherson.
Ivan Kukhta, mayor of Snihurivka, is frank in his assessment of the situation in the area.
Crappy. The situation is really bad.
This is the Inhulets River, usually just 80 meters wide at this point and spanned by 2 bridges. Today, Kukhta needs a speedboat to reach the suddenly isolated communities on the other side. He's met there by Yevhen, a village leader.
For 2 days I've been imploring people to evacuate. They say no, I'm not leaving my house. I'd rather climb onto the roof. They don't want to go anywhere, even though their homes are already underwater.
It's Grandma who won't leave. We've tried to persuade her, but she won't.
My husband and I work so hard. We've got 3 cows and a bull and 2 calves. We worked hard for the kids. To up and just leave that behind? I don't know. It's hard on the soul.
Unable to persuade the flood victims to leave, they ask instead what they can bring.
How many small kids are there who need baby food? Under 3 years old?
There is currently no accessible road out of these villages, whose residents already endured months of Russian occupation and shelling.
Ми би таке звернулися до всього світу. Люди добрі, подивіться, що робиться. Припиніть.
Kukta was appointed head of the local military administration when the area was liberated last November.
Важене, все в нас залито, все. Це вже отрута в нас.
Заразою, тою водою. Та вже там вже її не можна дати.
The floodwaters have been found to contain dangerous amounts of various toxins. An estimated 360 houses in this district are currently flooded. Many more are without electricity or running water.
There is a shortage of water because all our wells are in the floodplain of the Inhulets River basin, and they're inundated.
Things could get even worse. One of Kukta's many urgent tasks is to ensure the filthy water doesn't contaminate a major pumping station nearby, which serves hundreds of thousands of people in Mykolaiv and Kherson.
Environmental groups and aid agencies say a long road awaits Ukraine when it comes to assessing the real impact of its latest environmental catastrophe. An explosion of a vital dam last week flooded swaths of land in southern Ukraine, threatening a host of ecosystems and even Europe's largest nuclear power plant.
Floodwaters last week poured from the Kakhovka Dam after a deliberate explosion triggered on the Russian-occupied side of the Soviet-era structure along the Dnipro River in Ukraine. Both Ukraine and Russia pointed fingers at each other for what U.S. intelligence analysts say likely was an act of Russian sabotage, according to the New York Times. Flooding on both sides of the disputed dam carried residential and industrial waste through large parts of the region. Environmental groups warn the damage could collapse entire ecosystems and alter the landscape of Ukraine for decades.
The consequences to come will be for our children and grandchildren, just as we are the ones now experiencing the consequences of the Chernobyl disaster.
In April 1986, Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant melted down. According to the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation, roughly 350,000 people fled the disaster while some suffered cancers from radiation poisoning. The UN added that the Chernobyl disaster altered the environment and food supplies for years. Environmentalists warn Ukraine's history may be repeating itself following wide-scale flooding that is inherently contaminated and wreaking havoc on local ecosystems.
If this area serves as a nesting place for a colony of bird species, it is possible they will rebuild their colony when water recedes within about 7 to 10 years. However, when it comes to ecosystems that have been destroyed, such as the sandy ecosystems that once existed in our unique territory, their recovery may take decades.
But downstream from the Kakhovka Dam, much of the Ukrainian city of Kherson is now completely underwater. Immediate concerns like clean drinking water for the more than 250,000 people living here take priority over longer-term environmental impacts. Experts say the dangers of the dam burst will only grow. The facility is part of the Kakhovka hydroelectric station that not only supplies water to the Russian-annexed Crimean Peninsula, but also to the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest in Europe.
A thick haze from Canadian wildfire smoke covered cities in the northeastern U.S. this week. U.S. East Coast residents are unaccustomed to such pollution.
Stefan Stallworth is working all day in the New York City haze.
Just put a mask on and keep moving. That's what I gotta do.
The air makes you want to blink to focus or to wipe your glasses for a clearer view. It smells like a crackling campfire.
To me, it smells like toasted marshmallows, like when you burn them.
The polluted air from wildfires in Canada is wafting south into the United States, stinging eyes, bringing headaches, coughs, and other health hazards.
My eyes are killing me, and I've been choking for the last hour.
By the week's end, New York City's air ranked as the worst in the world. Records were also set in other major metro areas, including Washington. Smoke from the wildfires, more than 400 of them, is causing a concentration of dangerous particles in the air, something Americans are not used to, at least not on the East Coast.
I've lived in New York now 35 years, and I've never known anything like this.
Chris Kappa with the University of California, Davis, specializes in air quality and wildfire emissions.
It can do things like exacerbate asthma, it can exacerbate heart attacks, it can exacerbate strokes at times when concentrations get really high.
Kappa says residents in New Delhi and Beijing cope with air hazards daily, and Americans should take heed.
We're seeing wildfire frequencies go up across the globe. And when there's more wildfires, we're all going to be suffering from more smoke.
The United States is sending firefighters to assist Canada, and the air is expected to improve over the weekend. But for now,
well, it looks like apocalyptic.
New and intensifying fires are forcing the evacuation of thousands across Canada as the country battled out of control blazes that a provincial minister warned on Saturday could last all summer.
A strategy session before deploying the crews. Here, the wildfires are being tracked, as well as the weather conditions that could help or hinder efforts to get the blazes under control. Quebec's provincial firefighting agency is also incorporating international assistance. Teams from the U.S., Spain, and France have arrived in Quebec.
We don't have a reserve of water tanks like we have in the south of France. So we have to adapt the multitude of water courses in the area and work with natural water points and suction procedures in these natural water points to be able to use the water to extinguish and reach the edges.
Across Quebec province, over 140 fires are burning. Around 14,000 people are under evacuation orders. Officials have warned the public to remain alert.
This is a first in the history of Quebec to fight so many fires, to evacuate so many people. We are going to have a fight that we think will last all summer.
Wildfires continued burning out of control in Western Canada as well. Firefighters were battling a 20,000-hectare blaze in British Columbia, which was moving towards the evacuated town of Tumbler Ridge, 1,000 kilometers northeast of Vancouver. The flames on both coasts have burned through 4.4 million hectares so far, with the government warning that the country is on course for its worst year for wildfires on record.
Like most journalists, Kenyans are dealing with an increase in disinformation that threatens to discredit their profession. They are also being targeted with violence for doing their jobs.
Eric Isinta scrolls through images. They show a protest the NTV video journalist had been assigned to cover in late March. Organized by Kenya's opposition leader Raila Odinga, protesters rallied against the cost of living, but what started as a peaceful event soon turned chaotic.
The tear gas actually was thrown on us. We were coughing that moment. I remember telling my crew members, we were actually 4 of us up there. So I was telling my fellow camera person, please, let's just go down. It has never been this way.
The journalists had their equipment on top of a vehicle, searching for the perfect shot when police approached and fired tear gas in their direction.
The moment I just turned this side to pick my camera because it was hanging, it's when I was hit by this tear gas. That's when. Then I didn't know what happened from there. I just found myself on the tarmac. The first thing I saw when I gained my conscience is my 4 months kid child anyway, let me say a child, and my wife.
The Media Council of Kenya took up his case and others.
We have written to the Inspector General of Police and we have documented the case. We are actually following up the cases one by one.
Kenya's Inspector General of Police apologized after the protests and said any malpractice will be dealt with. The Media Council is also working to ensure journalists have access to newsworthy events, including the exhumation of members of a cult found in a mass grave. Authorities tried to restrict access for the press, says Omoyo.
I told the government the approach is unacceptable, but I told them that we understand what you're going through. Please put up a media center and organize regular briefings. Whenever you shut down media that we can see, you open the floodgates of rumors, and then rumors will kill a country because the people now lack verifications and legitimacy.
Kenya's Interior Ministry told VOA that because of the active investigation into mass graves, the area is off limits to unauthorized people. And while media were initially denied access, a pool system has been set up to allow one reporter and one cameraman to have authorized access each day. Kenya is seeing the same surge in dis and misinformation witnessed globally, said media experts.
There's been quite a lot of misinformation. A lot of it exacerbated at the height of the pandemic, and we see that the effects of that even to date.
For Isinta, the scars from his protest assignments are a reminder of a narrow escape.
And you see, this is the eye that I usually use for my, every camera person, this is what I use for my daily activities. So when it is hit, my only gratitude that I'm alive and I can see my family. That's the only point. That's the only important thing now for my life.
The experience underscores, too, the dangers media confront on a regular basis.
A painter in Ghana is using her art to campaign against child marriage. Awanle Ayuporo was forced into marriage as a teenager and is using her own experience to dispel misconceptions about the development of girls and young women.
26-year-old Hawa Ali Aibura Awanle recounts when her parents gave her away to a man she describes as elderly to be his wife. She was only 13 years old then. Awanle was forced to stop school.
My mom introduced me to a man, twice older than me, as my husband or future husband. And that was very depressing at that very age, because that's when you are very naive.
She escaped from the man's home with the help of some sympathetic family members. Today, Awanle is taking on child and forced marriages through art. She's telling the stories of victims like her through paintings and exhibiting them in public spaces.
One that focused on the past and the other that focused on the future. So the painting behind me focused on the future of these victims. So I paint my women in suits. So suits represent freedom.
A March 2023 survey by Africa Education Watch shows that nearly 1/4 of girls between the age of 12 and 18 in Ghana have been married off or are in some kind of consensual union. Women's rights advocates say this is because of cultural norms that see young women as subordinate to men. The high cost of living, they say, is also forcing girls into marriage.
Then there's the issue of economic insecurity. So where families do not have the financial resources, because girls are relegated, they usually would give up a girl, place her at risk of marriage to ease off the financial burden of the family.
Ghanaian state authorities say the government has established a national goal of eliminating child marriage by 2027, in part by encouraging girls to remain in school even if they become pregnant. In the meantime, artists like Awanle hope that their work will convince Ghanaian families to postpone marriage for their daughters until the girls are grown up.
27 minutes after 7, Stipesa Labota ngaphandle kwakuleli sabahlala emakethana sibuye sibene police report.
Kubhalisela lukhetho sekuqalile. Ngakho ke, faka isandla ekwakheni uhulumende wakho ngekuthi ubhalise. Bhalisela lukhetfo esiteshini sekubhalisa lesisedvute nawe. Kubhalisa ukuthi awugcina amatili 14 inhlaba kulosetulu. 14 June 2023. Ungasali, zakha live letfu.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Asimze sinimukele sakuvusela nawe losanza kusivulela lesikhathi sitawubuka ukuthi ngabe impela sombo ihambe kanjani naso superintendent Pico Nilivela kade sikuvusele Pico namhla ekseni kusingeda nje sithombe ukuthi ngabe impela sombo ihambe kanjani.
Sivusele dotwethu siyavusela kusonke sive sakangwane namhla ekseni kungumsombuluko sibuya kuyo impela sonto sicela sichubeke njalo nemisebenzi yalo live lokufaka ikhadi lona likhetho simise nje ukuthi size selosibonakala impela imithetho yonke lize sihlonipha ngayo yonke indlela konke lesikwentako ikhona ke into lothola ukuthi mhlambe siyaphunyuka lapha nalapha lokufaka ikhadi lona ingoti yemgwaqo njengaloko sikhuluma sibenayo nje ingoti yemgwaqo lento-ke lapha ngalesihlanu lapho khona umntwana loneminyaka engu-7 noma lonetinyanga letingu-7 kuzala wagcina sishiya emhlabeni emva kokuthi imoto letimbili zishayisana lapha eliye siyathemba ukuthi labo labasesibhedlela bayawuhamba belulama sibe nato-ke futhi letinye tigaba evikini leliphelile noko ungasiyo impela sonto lapho khona sishiwa umuntu emhlabeni ngemva kokuba ashaywe ngento lesilimato lesimatima lapha enhlangano nakhona solo siyacubeka nokusinxusa size ukuthi indzaba yekuthatha umthetho siwubise etandleni mangabe kukhona umuntu lesibona ukuthi akakendi kahle vele ayisiyo lengiyo siyacela ukuthi size asicubeke nekwethemba yona imithetho yelive ngibo futhi lekufanele batilungise intfo nababona ukuthi asihambi kahle siye ngale ndlela labafisa ukuthi sibe ngiyo bantu benkosi labakhona eveni kanti-ke lokunye lesibenako itolo sibe nengoti lapha emapharaleni lapho khona umbala loneminyaka lengu-8 agcine yasiya emhlabeni emva kokuba basale ekhathindlini badlala babodvana kanti kunesibhamu lesifihliwe lapho nasithinteka-ke lesibhamu basadlala kunoma bagcumukela lapho bagcumukela khona noma bebabhaqa ngesingete sathi bathinteka kabi-ke lesibhamu lothola kokuthi lokhu kwadubula akukhavarisheki kahle kwathinteka kona-ke bamshaya sifuba umbala wasiya emhlabeni sihlalakala-ke lesibesibuhlungu nakhona singachubeka nje kubacela labo banikati betibhamu kuloyo naloyo and esiciniseko sekuthi vele indzawo la sigcina kuso sibhamu ibangileyo lephephe kakhulu noma ngabe sekwentekeni umuntu lomunye angeke afinyelele kuyo siphosiso kona lokhu kepha kuyasivula imehlo singibo bonke nje abantu labayaphila ukuthi kufuna sinake ngelizinga elisedulu kakhulu sevele-ke ishayile nanamuhla siyabona ukuthi sisevele sive siyaphithitela siyawugcina sikhumbule kusosive ukuthi sibeketelelane kuyo imigwaco yelive siyathi ukuthi kuletinye tindzawo kuba khona ukuthi kuyakhiwa sisuke isikhathi sisekahle ukuze kusingathi kanti kwangathi sesiyabambeleleka nasisiya etindaweni letehlukehlukene siyafisela wonke umuntu lisuku neliviki elihle nekuphepha sikhumbule ukuthi nakukhona lokukhona lokungahambi kahle siyawusisha yona inhlabamkhosi lekungu-999 noma sishaye bo-9 labane singamshaya na-112 uyakhona ukuthi afake kunoma ngangiluphi ihlangothi kahulumende uma ngabe unesidingeko kuso. Siyabonga kakhulu.
Sibakhulu Phiko kusiketa le mininingwane ngayo impela somvuzo tabahlete makethe nasibuya sifiso tabakhulumisana la Linda ngetemidlalo.
Minutes after 7 asiphindze sikwamukele ehlelweni njengoba shilo ke lungelele sesivele sinayo Linda Master Dlamini kukhulumisa temidlalo ngosa ngikwamukele ehlelweni namhla kuseni.
Ngiyabonga sifisa ukumukela ehlelweni lakho ngekuthuba lokukhuluma ngivusela wona ama-loyal viewers ngomsombuluko futhi silapho khona silethela bona babukeli kulokwendekile ngempela somvu ngiyathi ukuthi labanengi bakhuluma kakhulu nge-Champions League lethathwe nge-Man City.
Mana ngisakhumbula kahle i-prediction yakho man master.
Last week I said Man City to win.
Okay, last week.
Yes.
I mean your initial prediction for UEFA.
For a Champions League.
Yeah, you had said Real Madrid.
Real Madrid in a chance.
That's fine. That's fine. Ngoba sekwendlula lokho. Asikhuluma Manchester City edile to their name a role of honor of English clubs to claim your night glory in the Champions League era following a win 1-0 victory over Inter Milan on the 10th of June ngemgcibelo. Sibonile ke Man City becoming only the second English club kuclaima i-treble kulandzela i-Manchester United ya Sir Alex Ferguson. Master bekuyi-nervous night. Bekunema-nerves lamanengi kuGuardiola ngiyakhumbula nje ahlala phasi ngelidvolo. Nangenhloko yaze yalapha phasi ngathi kumthandazo ema-Muslim. Akhathatekile icishe ikora Inter Milan. Give me your highlight of the game and what you thought about the whole game.
I-game sifiso ngiyathi ukuthi labanengi bebapredict ukuthi vele itawungena amagoli. You remember ukuthi lama teams lawa among two bekudibana ema-teams noma bedlala ema-teams la nga-concede amagoli kule Champions League lena lamanengi i-Manchester City only one goal from open play le concedile kule Champions League le lamanye kube ema-penalties. Nawubuka Inter Milan ngale Onana aka-concede nje cishe emagemini lang-6 kulandzelana before le game le. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele le defense lama teams lang-2 beyi very solid prior kule final. Beungeke vele uzogatse emagoli amaningi. Plus nalokuthi Inter Milan Italian team uyathi ukuthi licembu laseTaliyane alivamise kungenisa emagoli ngakubo. Yet ngale ku Manchester City uyathi ukuthi Manchester City bayawavula tikhala bawashaya amagoli. They have ama-players banebadlali labacishe ngathi bakahle kakhulu. But njengoba ngisho ukuthi the two teams kule final lena are prepared.
Yeah. Master, since I didn't have Italian squad, what we noted, bengibukela ngathi nemachita mabo. Some of my friends, I think, was about 9, 8. No, I'm lying. 7. They were favor Inter Milan. Only 2 were favor City, but you know the reasons for that. A lot of people that were favor Manchester United and other English clubs, whether they were against Manchester City. What we noted as a group would see the Italian squad. Rough kakula quite a lot of fouls to Manchester.
Ema-tactics, ema-Italians, ema-Italian, asho kanjalo. If utodlala ne-team against Manchester City, ngiyathi ukuthi it's anti-football tactics. Kodwa nami bengingaqhamuka nalawo ma-tactics lawo
Kuba
frustrate awufuni lokuthi baqale badlale le bhola because once baqala wavumela i-Manchester City kuthi idlale le bhola yo Bernardo Silva yo Gundogan yo De Bruyne yo Grealish ku-Madrid once wabavumela wabanika lesikhala ukuthi badlale kanzi more especially kuma-jewels lo 50-50 lo 1v1 nangabe sisiya le bholeni hamba wena ube rough kakhulu khona next time utatse nakacabanga lo mvacabeke kaningi nekuthi nje ibhola nakayihambela 50-50 acabeke kaningi ukuthi ngiyaya noma angiyi what if ngiya lapha ngithola i-tackle le very very harsh so ngito letinvo letematelane lathi nakahlala phasi adadisha athi because thina sifuna abadlali laba physically strong mentally strong uyadzinga ukuthi every time now uya ku-preparation i-game uwafake kancane lawo ma-spice lawo utawunonga nje ukuthi bangabe sibayatendela uthola ukuthi i-position ithi 90 ka-10 yes ingaba ku-90 ka-10 but besabe lokuyidlala le bhola like half yenu.
Yeah, but I think singayi-credit yona i-UEFA Champions League ku-selector that specific referee ukuthi anakele game lena ngoba he's quite careful and his decisions were quite consistent. Master, sisangena kuwe ma-key players for the game. I think isengaqali le game. Everyone bekabuke ukuthi Kevin De Bruyne, obviously he's the centerpiece for Manchester City. Kulimala kwakhe on the 35th minute kwayithusa kakhulu iCity. I think kwana nami kulo 7 webantu bebathi Inter winner le game ngaqala nami ngaba less confident ngeMan City ngathi hey ngento kavele sekutawubhetsa but baqhubekile bakhona kudlala Kevin De Bruyne akulimala kwakhe ngama big moments ngathi is this the second time I think
Isifiso inawuqala ubuka le starting 11 sayo sorry Manchester City and we understand ukuthi Pep Guardiola as much as kungile 4-3-3 but Stones ungena atodlala na Rodri lapha ekhasi ku-midfield lokusho ukuthi bese kuba na 3 la ngemuva kuna Ake Diaz na Akanji benda le flat 3 then Gundogan na De Bruyne bona badlala as labo number 8 labang 2 then Bernardo Silva na Grealish bona badlala as bo number 10 labang 2 because most of the time bona basibabamba le bhola bangene ngekhathi lokusho ukuthi le midfield una 2 wabo number 6 una 2 wabo number 8 una 2 wabo number 10 indlela leyo Guardiola ladlala ngayo then ukhuluma ngokuthi ube sesoyaphuma yena Kevin De Bruyne uphumile Kevin De Bruyne and then awubuka ukuthi Foden labanengi this season Phil Foden uheshiswa nguGrealish and kudlala kwakhe ngishilo ukuthi kuhamba kwaGundogan kutawuvulela ukuthi it's either Phil Foden uyabuya uyodlala uyopartnerisha na Haaland or Alvarez uyopartnerisha na Haaland lokusho ukuthi Stones utawudlala na Rodri bese ukuthi Gundogan yena ubanglo Kevin De Bruyne ubanglo number 8 then Bernardo Silva naye utawungena la khathi midfield atomlekelela kancane then Foden uyachubeka uyodlala as a forward. I think Pep Guardiola unawo onke ama solutions etindo ukuthi bengikubona lokhu ngase Alex Ferguson ukuthi i-team yakhe bethi nayithola i-red card angapheniki there's one game lengikhumbulako i-defender thola red card labanenge bacabanga ukuthi utaw sacrifice a striker but wangakwendile into leyo so ngicabanga ukuthi the reason why these two bawina ema-triples because bayiplanela i-game situation akwendeki nje ukuthi kwendeke by chance bayathi ukuthi nakuphuma lo even if bekungaphuma yena Haaland banayo i-solution so yena Pep Guardiola ujoyine yena se-Alex Ferguson ngokuba only the second team ilicembu lesibili leliqhamuka khona eNgilandi ukuthi lingawina i-treble bawina i-league bawina i-FA Cup bawina i-Champions League i-Manchester United yakwenda nga-1999 idlala nayo i-Bayern Munich that Solskjaer moment nayo ke i-City ikwendile over the weekend
and uyasho Guardiola ku post-match interview ukuthi sorry not post-match uyasho recently after the game bambutile ukuthi how does it feel ukuthi afanane naye se-Alex Ferguson ngokucopha umlando lofana nalona uyasho ukuthi uthole i-message ecingweni lakhe ka-iMessage lechamuka kuye se-Alex Ferguson le mente waba emotional kakhulu njengoba vele he's one person that he was looking up to kanti kenyalo sekutawucala lama debates ukuthi who is greater between the two
mhlambe le debate leyo Pep Guardiola wakwenda 2009 with i Barcelona so wentile with i Manchester City first manager kukwenda kabili
different clubs
different
leagues
yes first manager I think itolo bengibukela one of the greatest of all time Terry Henry uthi le debate ukuthi akameli bekungameli nje in fact nokuthi izikhulunywa ukuthi is Pep Guardiola the greatest blah 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 the style of play lafike Pep Guardiola asi I'm one person Sifiso lengithi Pep Guardiola bengisolo ngisho njalo ngithi Pep Guardiola lama teams la yakuwo yes amnike advantage but the impact the style of play lendlela lidlala ngayo kulama teams la yakuwo ngiyo lento lementa ukuthi abe unique ahluke kubo bonke bo coach so ngiko lokumenta ukuthi abe lapha ngetulu kuma best managers of all time
bathi vele bathi team ya Guardiola nje class style of play just like you've alluded to that almost similar to what he did with Barcelona the style of play the passing iba impeccable ngaso sonke
bathi ke Swiso ngifuna kushonako nje I know ukuthi there's a young coach lobukelako ekhaya Pep Guardiola akasiyo efeni ukuthi ningene eclassini nifunze ube theory tinvo leto hamba egroundini nifike nende letinvo Mikel Arteta ngilomunye Arsene Wenger ngilomunye bamvu labo lo tsite na Alex Ferguson bekangilomunye naye so dinvo leto as a coach lodzinga ukuthi bese so wena personal so yathi ukuthi okay ngile ngayo yenda I theory but 90% 80% wale timvo letin lit apply kulapha dimvo lestifunze egroundini
Master, probably the most difficult match for Manchester City last season. Nasibuka nje cishe onke nalama cups labawinile ubuka lendlela abadlale ngayo ubuka nalama goal labawakorile and the way labawakore ngakhona ngifuna singene on the goal la Rodrigo on this game who then became the player of a UEFA tournament by the way. What's your take on that goal? Kuqhamuka kwakhe nje lemuva sibuka iposition yakhe as a player and him scoring a timely goal. This is not the first time by the way Agora on a big moment for Manchester City.
Ngingachazela na kuSifiso. I-Manchester City Guardiola uyathi ukuthi in fact ngawubiyela kuma principles of playing against a reinforced defense. Okusho ukuthi ngiyodlala nebamvu lesingathi ba estradini base labapaka ibhasi. Udila kanjani nabo? 1 penetration 2 ma set piece 3 ma long range goals lama long range goals ke sithi washa kanjani uthi nasofikile on the side abese le bhola usayifaka ekhathi eboxini so ibisa la ngemuva ke that's why Gundogan this season that's why Rodri this season bashaya amagoli amanyenti kakhulu because bona the two number 10s lokung Bernardo Silva na Grealish base bangathola lamabhola bawubuyise la ngemuva imthole yena Gundogan imthole Rodri so Rodri ngicabanga ukuthi this season ukhonile ukumasterisha lokho and na ukhumbula kahle ukuthi Rodri nakaqhamuka abuya khona ku Atletico Madrid labanengi bebathi akakhoni kusutha kule style of play se Manchester City and na ukhumbula futhi ne Champions League final ya 2021 against Chelsea Pep Guardiola made the biggest mistake ku history yakhe ebholeni wamhlalisa ngaphandle Rodri yatendela iChelsea midfield yayithatha iChampions League but ukhonile ke ku redeemer over the weekend ukuthi amdlalise Rodri aphinze ambhadale alishaya igoli lekuwina yona iChampions League.
Siyangichaza le graphic lapha kulesithombe ngoba sesikhulumile nganaba lababili sekuna invotes naye lenze naye the bully Erling Haaland. This man master 53 games 52 goals 3 trophies in his debut season. It's a big season for him but widely criticized ngana game na ile final. I was talking to my friend Itolos debate agona ngithi he's a great player uthi yena he's not and I asked him why. Uthi nasibuka le final he had about 3 unsuccessful passes and less than 30 touches. But that's uncharacteristics and I protect ukuthi I'm a fan of basketball. Basketball inana klabathi gravity umdlalo laba nawo. Ukuthi lo mdlalo nakala cards. Lokho ukuthi ema defender na attack sekavela yamcabanga. sekavela so balimete psychologically ngoba they will focus on him and leave other players open. Perhaps nalapha nje golini la Rodrigo ema defender bebana ukuthi asigathe na Haaland ukuthi angabi open ngoba sivele sebox. What do you say about Erling Haaland?
Sifiso, I think le ngcazelo lomchazelo yona your friend ngiyo. Erling Haaland is a finisher. Is a number 9, traditional number 9. Your traditional number 9s our dlali kakhulu ibhola. Erling Haaland akusilo move lotathi utawuba involved ku play kakhulu. No. Yena what la kwentako ukuthi most of the time lama runs akho tawa cover awayise ka left and naka cover awayisa ka left kusala space la khansi don one off double number 10 or one of laba number 8 but ikhona nje chance letfolwe nguPhil Foden towards the end of the game beku space leso lebe sivulwe ngeErling Haaland wangena yena wato capitalize kule space leso umdlalo lo kanjalo njenga Erling Haaland ngeke vele uzumgazi ukuthi awadlale ema passes lamaningi kakhulu but nawubuka ukuthi kule Champions League lena ushaye 12 amagoli top scorer Champions League top scorer ye EPL. Yes, is far behind Cristiano Ronaldo's record ye 17 amagoli. Ngicabanga ukuthi next season kudinga ukuthi asebenze kakhulu more especially kulama knockout games akhona ukukora lawo magoli lawo.
Ngiyafuna ke sisakhuluma ngaye Haaland usathinza yona indzawo ukuthi le gravity yakhe bese yabonakala kakhulu lapha ekugcineni nabuka nje nale attempt ya Foden. What I believe is the attempts labenayo ekucaleni from the offside nje laqale ngayo on which by the way goalkeeper we Inter Milan was brilliant. Nasikhuluma nje liqiniso throughout the game he was brilliant. But those few attempts at first half, in fact laqaleni le first half, ayithatha yonke focus at defense. It's asimgatseni lo babela.
Sifiso, I'm happy ukukhuluma goalkeeper we Inter Milan. Onana. In fact uthi udlale kahle kule game le.
The saves
throughout the tournament Onana njoba ngikutshela ukuthi ku 6 games alandzelana bekanga concede igoli 2 emaderby lesikhuluma ngawo lapho AC Milan versus Inter Milan kude ligoli laliconcedile and I think yena Onana kuyodlala against ema teams la njenga Manchester City ema players la njengabo Erling Haaland lo munye bekangethuka kancane but the saves la wentile yena Onana ngicabanga ukuthi ukhombisile ukuthi is one of the best goalkeepers la khona emhlabeni. In fact is only the 3rd goalkeeper kudlala ku Champions League final wala Africa because Onana was a Cameroon yes and akayiwini Mendy wayiwina with Chelsea in 2021 but ngicabanga ukuthi throughout the tournament udlale kahle kakhulu Inter Milan ifike ku final because of him.
Engabe Master just to find out from kucabanga kwakho if Kevin De Bruyne akalimali kule game le and he was able to play majority of the minutes of the game probably vele bekatawuba maybe angakora but bekatawubonakala impact yakhe as usual. Do you think bebatawunika yena player of the tournament? Because coming into the game I think wonke bekavumelana ukuthi
mina player of the tournament Bernardo Silva.
Okay.
Yes. Is one player longanakeki. One player alo underrated. One player remember against yona nabadlala ne Real Madrid.
Yes.
Wa decide le game. Why decided the game yena. And cishe onke lama games la wadlalile yena Bernardo Silva and this season nawubuka le role ishintshile kancane. Usually Bernardo Silva botamkhanza lapha ngembili kwa Rodri but nyalo ngale la kuna Bernardo Silva khona ukhanze Riyad Mahrez but Bernardo Silva le style of play ngilengisho ukuthi if ukhuluma ngaPep Guardiola ushintsha abadlali ashintsha style of play nasensinini senimbambile Bernardo Silva most of the time njoba ngisho ukuthi beta uqhamuka la cuts ku midfield atodlala le bhola noma shift kancane ngala ku Grealish but this season ema games incumbi uqhamuka ngala side la ka right and ukwendelani ke Guardiola le creativity. Number 2 every time because kude Walker ngala ka right lota ubuya ato assista I defense so yena Bernardo Silva uyakhona le work rate yakhe isetulu kakhulu uyakhona kubuya ato assista yona I defense.
Yeah, Master Stawbona iparade namuhla komsobluko yayo Manchester City kunenye UEFA Champions League. But going into the next season, I think winners think like that. They celebrate and then they think about the next season. Mawucabanga nje Manchester City with the current squad and with all decisions like that when they were AGM yabo. Going into the next season, are they competing again at high level? Now buka nema transfers la khona
go obvious sifiso Manchester City again. Bekasho ushilo Pep Guardiola ukuthi bambutile ukuthi ngiphi inkomishi lekulukhuni kuyiwina. Wathi so master yekuwina English Premier League. So I Champions League so lofikile ku City bembalekela. But ugcina itholile and ngibukele Patrick Vieira wayidlalela iCity wayidlalela Arsenal bambuta ukuthi ngiphi side the greatest English Premier League side ever. What's this team le team ya Pep Guardiola le ilingana nana ya Arsene Wenger 2003 2004 and ushiso yini lokho ngicabanga ukuthi yes ye Manchester United in 99 nayo uyayifaka kulama brackets yes kuhamba isizini ungakadliwa English Premier League angicabanga ukuthi khona lenye I-team leyo kwenda ngendlela lokulukhuni ngayo but Arsene Wenger wakwenda in 1999 se Alex Ferguson ngale team le yabo Dwight York naye Cole ngicabanga ukuthi that team the partnership le yanje le front two layer one of the greatest a partnership now ukhuluma ngama strikers ku English game ever then lakhathi midfield scores my favorite player Manchester United bese bana Keane the fighter kule team le so lama teams lawa ngicabanga ukuthi Manchester United 1998 1999 Arsenal 2003 2004 Manchester City 2022 2023 nyoma teams longathi uyabuka yes the two afike wona awina I-Champions League ngicabanga ukuthi labaningi babelieve ukuthi club football is the greatest tournament ever
Master, thank you so much. I think just to highlight some of the statistics the final lena. It's quite interesting ukuthi Manchester City liyabanako over Inter Milan. Possession kuphela at 56% compared to 44% for Inter Milan. Otherwise the shots Inter had 14 Manchester City only had 50% of that. Baba 7. Then and shots on target.
Lukaku chance. That Lukaku chance. The chance de Lukaku leyo.
Akusikwaqala ke Lukaku defender azama ukukora.
No. Le header. Yes. No aka defend lapho. Ushaye Martinez ushaye Lukaku.
Yes.
Not ukuthi Lukaku.
I know but obviously I ukuthi football fans are
No. But he hate nje ku Lukaku otherwise he had a fair game. He hate ku Lukaku. Ay mina vele ngosami na ukhuluma nga Lukaku once nje wamcriticize Lukaku yet ema statistics approve otherwise ngivele ngikhweshe.
Okay. Thank you so much, Master. You sound exactly like a football purist and kumnanzi kuthola my insights akho. Thank you so much for showing us.
Kubonga mina sifisa ngibonga wena ma loyal viewers ekhaya.
Yeah, Manchester City ke siyayibongela ukuthi igcine iwinile yona i-treble yawucopha umlandvo. Sibahlola at market and asibuya we wrap up the show with Lungelele.
Alright, so it's 1 minute before 8 o'clock. So speaking about Peter and Nehlele for Namflex, thank you so much for joining us. It's a Motinda Bane Langalediche. Busekile Sakalanje, a brand new week. We'll see you tomorrow.
fun. When it comes to edutainment, DSTV's #1.
Is everybody ready to go?
We've got the zaniest characters to transport you away. The party is cracking, so why not come play? You're gonna love it. We've got so many channels and a ton of new shows, like Disney and Nickelodeon, where anything goes. So live it up with DSTV. We bring the fun. You know we're #1.